What up, everybody? It's your boy Jay, and I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna have a little story time here, and talk about my stay down range and what happened to me. I had a medical miracle happen, and I'm gonna tell you all about it. It's kind of a long story, but I'm gonna try to make it short. So in July, I got deployed to Kuwait, Ali Al Salim, and that's a deployment I volunteered for. I've been there a couple of times. I loved it there then, and I loved it there. I don't want to say now because I'm going from there, but when I went there in July, it was great. COVID happened kind of, so it kind of took away a lot of things. I couldn't go off base, a lot of things I couldn't do, but we had a lot of downtime. We had a lot of, camaraderie as far as the people I worked with, like that I was in charge with. And I came up with a plan where, since we had so much downtime, we worked 4 hours out of 12. Other times we just watched Netflix and done, so we decided to do a workout. So what we did was we'll run, do our own thing, pick a time, and we'll do a thing for an hour and a half. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which was every other day, what I did was I ran. I ran about 2 miles, so it was great. I felt in great shape. I felt I was doing wonderful. I'll never forget it. So November 4th, it was a little cold. It was getting a little cold now, starting to become winter. And I didn't feel right for some reason. And I started coughing, and then my breathing wasn't the same. So I felt, it's probably just a cold. I just, brushed it to the side. The next time that I ran, which let's say it was a Friday, I took off because I was coughing. I didn't feel right. And then again, after that, I went to sleep. I started coughing a lot. And then when I was laid certain ways, I couldn't breathe. So one day, I started coughing so much I had to go outside because I had roommates that were sleeping, so I didn't want to wake them up. So I just started going outside. I was coughing. I couldn't sleep. So then I stopped running because I wasn't sleeping at night, so I was tired at work. Then it got to the point, like, let's say November 12th, I couldn't breathe at all. Like, certain ways I slept, and I was just, it was tough to even walk. So I said, you know what, I'm going to the clinic. I tried to walk to the clinic, which was like only a block away, and I was still, I felt so weak and I couldn't breathe hardly. It was a struggle just to walk to the clinic. I finally get there, and there was a board that had 10 things on there you had to read because they wanted to make sure you didn't have COVID. So if you had any of those symptoms, you had to go to the COVID section. So I looked, there was none of the symptoms there except for one, shortness of breath. I said, yeah, number 5, that's the only thing. They said, okay, and they put me to the COVID section. Now, guess what happens? I have to go to quarantine, but I'm in quarantine, I'm getting worse. My breathing is getting worse. I couldn't even sleep at this point because once I slept or laid down, I feel like I was suffocating. So I'm trying to remember. So at this point, the next day came, they gave me pills, right? Because I was negative at this point for COVID. So they gave me some pills to try to help my breathing or whatever it was. Like, I got Antiboxin or something crazy like that. That wasn't working. So the scary part was now I couldn't really breathe at all. And I had to wait like 6 hours for the doctor to come so I could tell him, look, bring me to the hospital. I have no phone, I had a phone, but it's cut off because I'm overseas. So I couldn't call anybody, and I'm like, I got 6 more hours and I can't hardly breathe. As soon as somebody knocked on the door, like, luckily 6 hours, I made it. They knocked on the door. I said, look, I gotta go to the hospital. Like, I can't breathe. It's hard for me to even talk right now. They put me in a stretcher, sent me to the hospital in Camp Arajon, which is another base that has a hospital, an army base. It's like an hour and a half away from Ali Al Salim. So I go to the hospital, and this is where things really got bad. I go there, and I'm not getting better. And then a doctor came in. He did x-rays. He's like, look, you have so many things wrong with you right now that you can't stay here. You've been here 3 days, and we can't fix you because there's so many things you have issues. And I'm like, wait, hold up. What are you talking about? He said, well, when we did the x-rays, we seen a spot on your ribs. You got fluid in both lungs. It looks like it might be pus in there. you have an infection, you have something that might look like some covering on your liver. You got so much stuff happening right now that we can't do anything about it. So we just send it to Germany to have them try to do what they can to fix things up. And I'm sitting there like, am I gonna be okay? And he said, honestly, we don't know, and it doesn't look good. And I said, why not? And he said, it looks like there's cancerous things going on all over your body. So one thing can get fixed, but the other thing might not. So it's like you have things going on that we can't fix here. So I started like really looking, and I'm thinking, okay, how much time do I have left? And I think you know what I'm talking about. And he knew what I meant by that. He said, honestly, I don't know. Because you might be able to beat this one thing that might be going on, and it might be cancer, but then the other thing might take over. So it's just too much happening, and there's nothing we can do for you. And now I'm thinking back, and I'm like thinking back of when I was in high school, my career of basketball, going to school, all this. I'm thinking back, and I'm like, I got so much stuff left in my life that I want to do, and I can't. And I thought this was it. So I'm like, it sucked. I'm sitting there like, man, I still have so much life ahead of me, and I can't even fulfill it. So of course, I'm trying to tell my friends I'm okay and I'm gonna be fine, but in my head, I'm like, I'm not gonna make it, and it's just sad. So I was gonna call everybody and tell them, look, do what you can do, accomplish what you can accomplish, because life is short. Like, that's how I felt. I felt like I was done. And when they sent me to Germany, that's when things started getting better for me. So I started improving, and a doctor in Germany, she was a female American doctor. She was Air Force doctor. She came to me and she said, listen, I've seen your records, I've seen your x-rays, and yeah, you got a lot of things that looks suspicious, but you don't have none of the symptoms for cancer, and you're not old, you're not that old yet. You don't have the family history. You don't drink, smoke. You're an athlete. You're in good condition. You had good health. So this doesn't seem like a situation where you have cancer. And I said, thank you. She was like, yes, but at the same time, we don't know. So I could be wrong, but I'm just saying, I don't think it is these things. So I'm like, you know what? That's all I wanted to hear, regardless. And then my body started getting better anyway. So she was like, if I had situations where it was cancerous or there was this or that wrong, I wouldn't be getting better. So she said, but you can't go back downrange. Your deployment's over. And I was like, okay, well, at least I just want to know if I live. And she said, what we're going to do is we can fix you here or try to fix you up here, but you're not gonna be overseas. It makes no sense to stay overseas. So we're gonna send you back where you live. And Walter Reed has a great hospital as well, and that's close to where you live. So we're gonna send you there. So okay, cool. Because remember, I still had the fluid in my lungs. I still had things going on that they couldn't treat because they was testing me in Germany. So the treatment was gonna happen in Maryland. So I go to Maryland to Walter Reed, and that's when they started doing the things to fix me, to get the fluid out of my lungs, and that was an ordeal in itself. So what they did was they put a tube in my back to get the fluid out, and the tube didn't hurt too much putting it in, but when it was in there, it felt terrible because you got a tube in your back. So I was weak, and I had to carry this little box around me where the fluid, it was a tube, and the fluid went through the tube, a clear tube, and it went in this box. So I had to carry that around with me. So that was an ordeal. I remember one of the nurses, I remember, now let me tell you this, let me back up a little bit. I wasn't taking a shower at all because I was weak. And then when I was in Kuwait, I felt like I was gonna die. So I wasn't thinking about that. And then when I went to Walter Reed, I just was too weak, and I had that box. So I didn't even want to do that. And she said, well, if you want, I can help you take a shower. And I'm thinking, dang, I stink that bad that you giving me hints to take a shower? But then, why would she want to help me take a shower? Was she trying to get her freak on? I don't know. But no, so I finally took a shower or whatever. I'm getting better, I'm feeling better, but it was still painful. So now, here's another thing. With the tube, the doctor comes in at about 1 in the morning every morning to give me medicine in the tube. So he puts the medicine in the tube, he pumps it in there to break down the fluid so it can come out smooth. That hurts too, because when you putting the medicine in you, I can feel it breaking everything down, squeezing. So to me, it felt like spasms because it was just squeezing my insides, and that hurts. And then I had nurses coming in there and just taking blood all the time. So I'm getting needles stuck in me all the time, and I'm already weak and hurting. So that sucked. December 4th, they took the tube out, and then I got sent home. And I started really getting better. So then by December 12th, I was at the point where, I felt like myself. I felt great. And I was on convalescent leave, so I was getting bored. So I was walking to the store, I was walking everywhere, and I felt amazing. And now I'm at the point where now I feel like I'm back to myself and back to what I was before I left. So now for you Kuwait doctors, like Kumo D said, how you like me now? You know what I mean? I feel good. I'm back to myself, and everything is everything. You know what I'm saying? That's my story, and I hope you enjoy. Peace.